So through the meadow, we have our last flower, the Asclepsia. Big word, but you could call it also milkweed. Milkweed is primarily a nectar source for bees, especially the honeybees, and the leaves themselves are a larval food source for monarch butterflies and their relatives. Now, it has, a very interesting little flower on top, and it's two parts. And I will tell you, it's a little tricky, but not hard to do. And I hand color mine, but you certainly could cut them out of colored cardstock. If you hand color, I suggest that you put them on, this is a gel press, and it keeps these little pieces from shifting on you, and you can color them. So let's get started. So it comes in several colors. You'll see combinations of oranges and yellows and even this rosy color that I'm going to do. So I'm going to start by coloring just the underside of these pieces. These little 5-pointed pieces are the little flower that will set on top of the base there. That's going to be a darker rosy color. And see, if you put it on your gel press here, like I'm doing, it's easy to color these little pieces, like we've done with the tiny hemlock pine cones. What else did we color? The lavender. It's not hard to do, but like I said, you're certainly welcome if you just want to cut these out of regular cardstock. So let me turn these over, any of these, because I do color both sides. So this is the little flowerette that's on top, and this little base where the petals hang down, I'm going to do a little darker. So let's move this over so you can see it. I'm just doing the rosy color. I have a card done that I'll show you in a second that has the oranges and the yellows. It's really a brightly colored flower, and you can see why it attracts all sorts of insects to it. The interesting thing I've had when the monarch larvae come, we call them the caterpillars. They're striped just like the butterflies in that dark, and they are eating on the leaves of the plant. And you think it's going to kill the plant, but it doesn't. It comes back every year. Now, there is a weed called milkweed that does not flower. It's kind of a green stalk, and the reason why they call it milkweed is when you break it in half, it has this milky substance in it. This is not that plant. So know your plants, different leaves, and the other one doesn't have flowers on it. So that's why I try to call this one what it is, the Asclepsia. And when you're going to a nursery, if you'd like to put some of these in your garden, it really does attract the butterflies. And I love seeing the little caterpillars. We've had fewer and fewer monarchs around, so, providing a food source is a good thing. But you will see this growing out in the wild as well. This little poor part here looks like an X. Easy to color, stays in place on the gel press, and you're assured of getting, that natural color. Forgot to flip that one over. Okay, coloring's done. Now I suggest for shaping these, you'll want to use a like a hard surface, a rubber mat. This is a Moo Block, or you can use, the pink mat that I've used before when I've done anything with watercolor paper. So we're going to put these down, the little X's, we'll call them, right side down on the move block. And then we're going to put the little flowers that go on top right side up. Okay, they're all turned over, and I'm going to spritz them with water because anytime you want something to hold its shape, and especially with these little tiny ones, we're going to spritz with water. Grab a toothpick here, and I'm taking my small ball stylus and just cupping these right in the center. And we're going to let them dry like that before we put them on the base. And then on these are right side up, except for that one. And you're going to also cup them in the center. If you don't have access to these move blocks or the pink rubber mat, you could always use an eraser. I mean, it's a little smaller and it would take you a little bit longer, but it will work. Just something firmer than your molding pad that comes with the toolkit. So they're all done. We're going to set that aside a second and let them dry. And I'm going to color the base and a couple of leaves. I have some of the leaves colored, but we'll get a few more here done. So the base I'm just coloring in the Y 8.5. And again, you could cut this out of green cardstock. If you do, I would recommend, since I'm using watercolor paper here, it's a little firmer, holds up better. I would use that. If you want to use green cardstock, then use, let me get my other pen, use 100-pound cardstock, one that you might use for your, for making your cards, for the backings, because you want something a little firmer. Spellbinders has great watercolor paper. I use it for a lot of my foliage and for bases like this, stems, really good for stems. Don't want to leave any white areas. There. Now the leaves, I'm going to use the same green pen, but I'm going to use the two different colors. So turning it with the stem side towards you, add a little bit of the dark green, brushing up, and then I'm going to switch over and blend with that 8.5. And I'm going to do the same. This goes this way. Starting at the stem and then working your way up. And then for the other side, I'm just going to color it in the 8.5, the little lighter color. So using your leaf pad, you want to go ahead, let me grab the one I just did, this one I've done, and draw that stem line right down the center. This is with the right side down on your leaf pad. And I'm going to crease it in half. That's the right side showing. And you're just going to accent that stem line with some pan pastel. Back on the leaf pad, I'm going to add, these do have veins, so on either side, I'm going to add those. Make sure you have them oriented the right way with the stem line, and then you're putting your veins up this way. Then all I have to do is bend it back up. You get a nice stem line there, and you can add a little bit of shaping towards this tip. Same with this one. Okay. So before I roll my base, I want to show you, if you roll, this is where the little tail is, and if you roll with the smaller, going from small to large, and roll that inward, you're going to get a larger base. If you roll from the larger end to the smaller one, it goes a little smaller. And you may like that, so you have different sizes of the flower, because they do grow different sizes. So we're going to make this one just like the orange ones here. And we're going to take and put that glue right along the base of that line there, the flat line, the bottom. And so I'm going to roll it with the smaller ones in the center. And I just roll it around the tip of my tweezer. Quite a bit to roll. But then you can spread it out this way. And you've got those little ones in the center. Kind of curl these a little bit so they lay down a little bit. Okay, let me set this aside just for a second. I find, now this is going to be a little tedious, but well worth it. I find the easier way to do is hold on to that base. Let me get the glue off my hand, like that. And then take your silly applicator here. I want that one down a little bit. Just like we're doing, when we do the stamens and we paint the glue right on the tips. I'm going to roll that one out a little bit. There we go. Get down into the smaller areas too. I just try to make it as easy as possible because this is a pretty flower, and I think you're going to like adding it to your bouquets just because it has a lot of interest to it, especially in this grouping. So I think I got all of them. Yeah, it looks like I did. Okay. Now I'm going to take and apply some glue onto the end and set it in place on my project. Oops, I can let go with my tweezer. Hold it down a second. Knock some of that glue off there. There we go. And I paired it with these cute little hiking boots as if we were going hiking in the meadow there. Looks like I forgot one here to cup. You want to put your little cross down first. And I just go around and try to get one on each one of those little projections. If it helps, you can always use a toothpick too. I just constantly try to keep the glue off my tweezers so we don't have a tug of war there. Sometimes it doesn't want to sit up there straight. Let's try that one again. Oops, I'll grab him in a second. Let's try this one. Put a little extra glue in there. There we go. Let me grab that one that fell in there. Oops, there it is. Just make sure there's enough glue to catch the little flower there. I'm going to set that one right like that. As you see, I didn't use the full 2 with this one, with the red one, but I may fill in a little bit more. I do have a little tray of glue here to put the flowers on. And this I will need my toothpick so it'll release there. Make sure there's no glue. So these little flowers sit right on top of that little X. So you've got petals hanging down and the little flower on the top. It's as if we've gone hiking and picked a beautiful bouquet of Asclepsia. So everywhere you have an X, you're going to put a little flower. Like I said, it's a little more tedious, but no more than doing the lavender or the Queen Anne's lace. It takes a little time, but it's kind of, very peaceful to sit here and do this and know you're creating this beautiful flower. And trust me, I've made quite a few now with everything, the packaging and projects. The more, you may even find an easier way that you like doing it. So there's the pink one. We're going to add some leaves next. I'm going to switch to my other tweezers here and then just start putting some leaves in. As this dries, I can lay it down a little further. Oh, see, I'm going to knock that off. But you can see these are dry, so I can lay them down a little bit more, just pressing them down to lay down and flatter. But wait till it dries. Doesn't take too long with the Kids' Choice glue. Lots of beautiful leaves to fill these out. So one more little detail I'm going to do, and again, it's purely optional, but you can see on these, I've added a little prill in the center. And so I've got some little, grab a stone here if I can find one. There it is. It's easy if you put just some on your table next to you, spread them out so you can see what you're doing. And then grab some glue and just pick these up. And you're going to set one in the center. Just like we do on the hydrangea or the lilac. Just gives it that little last detail that makes it look very natural. These are just a little pale yellow prill. Let's see what it's called. I think it's called lemon chiffon is a good color. Or you could go with the mini pearl, the white. A little bit of yellow makes a nice contrast there. Like I said, I try to get some of the little larger ones here that are easier to pick up. But see how that makes a difference, just adding that last little detail to your flower. And there's not a whole lot you have to do. I have to bring this down a little bit. Oh, I forgot a flower there. I didn't even dip that in glue. In fact, I forgot a couple of flowers. There we go. So I filled it in. I'll clean these up in a second. Now the only thing to do is to do the little ladybug. So I've got she's flying around here. Hold on. I've got my eraser that I use. I'm going to grab a red. This is R1.5. And then just a Uniball pen to add the details. She's going to keep the aphids off of your plant. Turn it over right side down, and we're going to cup her, give her some shape. Give her a little bit of glue and place her right on one of the little leaves here. And then I have a really great quote here. Happiness blooms in the meadow. And I'm going to add that to the bottom. Thank you for taking a walk with me through the meadow. I hope you enjoy these flowers.